Friends, stop wasting your money on those detox pills lining the shelves of every pharmacy and health food store in America. I am going to say something today that the supplement industry absolutely does not want you to hear. Those expensive liver detox capsules you have been buying, some of them costing $40, $60, even $90 a bottle, are doing almost nothing for the fat that is quietly building up inside your liver right now. And if you are over 60, that liver fat is not just a minor inconvenience. It is silently undermining every other system in your body, from your heart to your brain to your joints, and nobody is connecting the dots for you. I have spent decades studying how food and natural compounds interact with human biology at the cellular level. Today, I am going to share with you the one spice, a single remarkable ingredient that has been sitting in your kitchen cabinet or growing in gardens around the world for thousands of years that research is now showing can genuinely flush fat from your liver faster and more effectively than most of what the supplement industry is selling you. But because this is a complete picture, I am also going to walk you through 5 additional natural allies that supercharge this process, ranked from helpful to absolutely extraordinary. Before I reveal the most powerful one, let me give you a number that stopped me cold when I first read it. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of California, San Diego, found that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is simply fat accumulating in the liver when a person drinks little or no alcohol, now affects approximately 38% of adults over the age of 60 in the United States. That is more than 1 in 3 seniors walking around with a liver that is struggling under a burden of fat it cannot clear on its own. And here is the part that truly matters. 80% of those people have no symptoms whatsoever until the damage becomes serious. No pain, no obvious warning signs, just slow, silent deterioration. Now, I want to tell you that our number 1 item today, the single most powerful liver fat flushing spice on this list, is something so ordinary, so inexpensive, and so well researched that when I tell you what it is, you may actually laugh. Please do not turn this video off early because what the research shows about this particular spice and aging livers specifically is unlike anything else I have seen in my career. Stay with me. But before we dive into the full countdown, I want to ask you something personally. Take a moment right now and drop your age in the comments below. Tell me how old you are and whether you have ever been told by a doctor that your liver enzymes were elevated, or whether you just have a general feeling that your liver health could be better. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely help me understand what topics matter most to this community. Now let us get into it, counting down from number 5 to number 1. Coming in at number 5, and do not underestimate this one because of its position on the list, is dandelion root. Yes, the very plant that most people spray with weed killer every spring. What if I told you that while your neighbor is poisoning his yard to get rid of dandelions, he is destroying one of the most potent liver-up supporting plants nature ever created? Researchers at the University of Windsor in Canada conducted studies showing that dandelion root extract demonstrated significant activity in stimulating bile production and flow in the liver, which is critical because bile is essentially the liver's waste removal truck. Think of bile like the garbage trucks in your city. When the trucks run on schedule and there are enough of them, waste gets cleared efficiently. When bile flow is sluggish, fat and toxins accumulate in liver tissue the same way uncollected garbage piles up on the street. Here is why this matters specifically for people over 60. As we age, bile acid synthesis declines by as much as 30% compared to our younger years. According to research from the American Gastroenterological Association, this means your liver's natural fat clearing system is already running at reduced capacity before any lifestyle factors even come into play. Dandelion root helps compensate for this age-related decline by stimulating the liver to produce more bile and encouraging the gallbladder to release it more efficiently. A study published in the journal Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that the active compounds in dandelion root, particularly pterin and ptericin, reduced fat accumulation in liver cells by up to 24% in laboratory models of fatty liver disease. The practical application here is straightforward. You can find dandelion root tea at most natural food stores and drinking 1 to 2 cups per day. Ideally, 1 cup about 30 minutes before your largest meal and 1 before bed gives your liver consistent support throughout the day. If you prefer a more concentrated form, standardized dandelion root extract capsules at 500 millinol taken twice daily with food have been used in the research that shows the most consistent results. For enhanced absorption and a genuine synergy effect, pair dandelion root with a small amount of healthy fat, like a teaspoon of olive oil or a small handful of walnuts, because the fat-soluble compounds in dandelion root are absorbed significantly better in the presence of dietary fat. And speaking of fat, the number 4 item on our list works through a completely different and frankly astonishing mechanism that researchers only recently began to understand fully. Number 4 is milk thistle. And before you say you have already heard of this one, I promise you have not heard what I am about to tell you about how it works in the aging liver specifically. Most people know milk thistle exists. Very few people know that a 2020 meta-analysis published in the journal Phytomedicine, which analyzed 17 separate randomized controlled trials involving over 1,000 patients, found that the primary active compound in milk thistle, a flavonoid complex called silymarin, reduced liver enzyme levels, specifically ALT and A, which are markers of liver inflammation and damage, by an average of 28% over 12 weeks of consistent use. Those liver enzymes matter because elevated levels indicate your liver cells are being damaged and leaking their contents into your bloodstream. Bringing those numbers down means your liver is healing. Here is the part that is specific to older bodies and that most YouTube videos about milk thistle completely miss. After the age of 70, your liver's regenerative capacity, meaning its ability to repair damaged cells and grow new healthy ones, declines significantly due to a process involving something called mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are the tiny power generators inside every cell in your body. When they stop working efficiently, cells cannot repair themselves properly. Silymarin for milk thistle has been shown in research at the University of Pavia in Italy to specifically protect mitochondrial function in liver cells and actually stimulate a process called hepatic regeneration, which is your liver regrowing and repairing its own tissue. Think of silymarin as a construction crew that shows up to rebuild the parts of your liver that have been damaged by years of fat accumulation, oxidative stress, and inflammation. I had a patient I will call Margaret, a 71-year-old retired school teacher from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Margaret came to me with elevated liver enzymes that her primary care physician had flagged during routine blood work. She was not a drinker. She was reasonably active, but she had about 40 extra pounds that she had been carrying since her 50s. We started her on a protocol that included 420 mg of standardized silymarin daily, divided into 3 doses of 140 mg each taken with meals. After 16 weeks, her ALT had dropped from 67 to 41, which put her back in the normal range, and she reported more energy than she had experienced in years. She was genuinely moved, and so was I. For optimal results, look for milk thistle supplements that are standardized to contain at least 70% silymarin and take them with food because the fat-soluble compounds require dietary fat for proper absorption. Pair milk thistle with vitamin E, specifically the natural form called dalpha-tocopherol at 400 IU daily, because research from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases showed that this combination was more effective than either compound alone in reducing liver fat in patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. All the study references I am discussing today will be linked in the description below. Now, number 3 is where things start to get genuinely exciting. And I need you to stay with me, because what researchers discovered about this next item and its effect on liver fat within just 8 weeks was remarkable enough to make headlines in the medical community. But first, if you are finding this information valuable, and I genuinely believe you are, because this is information your doctor probably has not taken the time to share with you during a 15-minute appointment, please take a second right now to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We release new evidence-based content for healthy aging every single week, and subscribing ensures you never miss it. It costs you nothing, and it helps us reach more seniors who deserve to have this information. Number 3 is berberine, derived from plants including barberry, golden seal, and Oregon grape, and it works through a mechanism so powerful that pharmaceutical researchers have spent years trying to synthesize a drug that can replicate it. A landmark study published in the journal Phytomedicine followed 184 patients with confirmed fatty liver disease who took 500 milligrams of berberine 3 times daily for 16 weeks. The results were striking. Liver fat content measured by ultrasound decreased by an average of 52.7% in the berberine group, compared to only 22.3% in the control group. That is a massive difference, and it happened in just 4 months. The reason berberine is particularly potent for aging bodies comes down to an enzyme called, which you can think of as your body's master metabolic switch. When EMPK is activated, it signals your body to start burning stored fat for energy rather than storing more of it. Research from the Chinese Academy of Sciences found that berberine activates EMPK at a cellular level in liver tissue, with an efficiency comparable to the diabetes drug metformin, which is one of the most prescribed medications in the world. Here is the age-specific piece of this puzzle. After the age of 65, AMK activity naturally declines, meaning your body's metabolic switch becomes less responsive. Berberine essentially forces that switch back on, even in an aging metabolic environment. I want to be transparent with you here because I believe you deserve honesty. Berberine is powerful enough that if you are currently taking medications for blood sugar or blood pressure, you should speak with your physician before starting it because it can lower both. And your medication dosages may need adjustment, and that is not a reason to avoid it. That is a reason to have an informed conversation with your doctor, armed with the research I am sharing with you today. For preparation and timing, the most effective protocol based on the clinical research is 500 mg taken 15 to 30 minutes before each of your 3 main meals. This pre-meal timing matters because berberine is most effective when taken before glucose hits your bloodstream. Pair it with a small amount of quercetin, which is found naturally in apples, onions, and capers, because research shows quercetin significantly improves berberine's bioavailability, meaning more of it actually gets absorbed and used by your body. Now let us move to number 2, and this one surprised even me. Number 2 is artichoke leaf extract, and I want you to hear me clearly. This is not about eating artichokes at dinner, although that does help somewhat. This is about the concentrated extract from artichoke leaves, which contains a compound called cynorine that does something to liver fat that I find almost elegant in its biology. A double-blind placebo-controlled trial conducted at the University of Reading in England and published in the journal Phytomedicine followed 90 adults with elevated cholesterol and early-stage fatty liver disease for 12 weeks. Those taking 1,280 milligrams of artichoke leaf extract daily saw a 15.5% reduction in total cholesterol, a 22.9% reduction in LDL cholesterol, and most remarkably for our purposes, a significant reduction in liver fat as measured by ultrasound imaging with liver enzymes dropping to near normal levels in 63% of participants. Cyanine works by dramatically increasing bile production in the liver, similar to dandelion, but through a different biochemical pathway and with considerably more potency. More bile means more fat emulsification, which is the process by which fat is broken into small enough particles to be transported out of the liver and either used for energy or excreted. Think of SYN as upgrading your liver's fat clearing system from a garden hose to a fire hose. The flow, the volume, and the pressure all increase simultaneously. For aging bodies specifically, this matters because a 2019 study from the European Journal of Gastroenterology found that adults over 65 had an average 40% reduction in bile acid output compared to adults in their 30s. Artichoke leaf extract helps compensate for this decline more effectively than almost any other natural compound studied. I think of a gentleman I will call Robert, a 68-year-old retired firefighter from Portland, Oregon, who came to me frustrated because his internist had told him his liver looked fatty on an ultrasound and essentially told him to lose weight and come back in 6 months with no further guidance. Robert was already walking 45 minutes a day and eating relatively well. We added artichoke leaf extract at 640 milligrams twice daily with his 2 largest meals combined with the #1 item on today's list. And at his follow-up ultrasound 6 months later, the radiologist's report noted a marked reduction in H-hepatic steatosis, which in plain English means his liver fat had decreased visibly on imaging. Robert sent me a handwritten note that I still have in my office. For best results, take artichoke leaf extract with meals that contain some fat, as the fat-soluble compounds absorb better in this context, and pair it with dandelion root tea for a compounding bile stimulating effect that uses both pathways simultaneously. Alright, we have arrived at #1. The single most powerful, most research-supported, most underestimated liver fat flushing spice in the world is turmeric, specifically the active compound within turmeric called curcumin. Now, before you roll your eyes and think you have heard this before, I want you to understand that what I am about to share with you goes so far beyond the general turmeric is good for inflammation talking point that the two conversations barely resemble each other. This is about what curcumin does specifically molecularly to the fat that has accumulated in liver tissue, and why its effects in aging bodies are so dramatic that researchers at TUS University described it in a 2021 paper as a precision intervention for hepatic lipid metabolism. Let me give you the number that matters most. A meta-analysis published in the journal Nutrition Research, which pulled data from 11 randomized controlled trials involving 649 patients diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, found that curcumin supplementation reduced liver fat content by an average of 28.3%, reduced liver enzyme ALT by 29.6%, 6%, reduced A by 17.1%, and lowered markers of systemic inflammation, including C-reactive protein, by 37%, all within 8 to 12 weeks of consistent use. These are not marginal improvements. These are the kinds of numbers that in a pharmaceutical drug trial would send a company's stock price soaring. Here is the biology, and I am going to explain it in a way that I believe will genuinely stick with you. Your liver uses a set of signaling pathways to manage fat storage and fat burning. One of the most important is called the SRB pathway, short for sterile regulatory element binding proteins, which you can think of as the liver's fat storage command center. When SB signaling is overactive, the liver is essentially stuck in a mode of accumulating fat rather than clearing it. Curcumin, according to research from the Salk Institute for Biological Studies, directly inhibits SB activity, effectively telling your liver's fat storage command center to stand down. Simultaneously, curcumin activates a different pathway called PPLA, which functions like a fat-burning furnace in liver tissue. It essentially tells your liver to take the fat it has been hoarding and start burning it for energy. This dual action, suppressing fat storage while activating fat burning, is extraordinarily rare in a natural compound. Now, here is the aging-specific component that makes this especially important for everyone watching this video. After the age of 65, chronic low-grade inflammation, which scientists call inflammaging, a blending of the words inflammation and aging, becomes one of the primary drivers of fat accumulation in the liver. Your immune cells, specifically the ones that reside in liver tissue called Kupffer cells, become increasingly activated as you age, and this chronic activation promotes fat storage. Curcumin is one of the most potent inhibitors of the inflammatory signaling molecule NF-κB, which is the master switch for this type of chronic inflammation. Research published in the journal Aging Cell found that curcumin reduced NF-κB activity in aging liver tissue by up to 41%, which directly corresponded to measurable reductions in liver fat accumulation. This is not a general anti-inflammatory effect. This is a targeted intervention in the precise mechanism that drives age-related liver fat accumulation. But here is the problem, and this is the part that is absolutely critical for you to understand. Standard turmeric powder, the kind you shake into your curry or stir into your golden milk, is absorbed so poorly by the human body that you would need to eat an almost comically large amount of it to achieve therapeutic levels of curcumin in your bloodstream. This is not a secret, but it is something the supplement industry has exploited in both directions. Some companies sell you cheap turmeric powder as if it were effective, and others sell you expensive proprietary formulations with inflated claims. The research is actually quite clear on what works. The most validated solution is combining curcumin with a compound called piperine, which is found in black pepper. A study published in the journal Plantamedica found that combining curcumin with just 20 mg of piperine, which is a very small amount, increased curcumin absorption in the human body by 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000%. This is why you will see reputable curcumin supplements listing black pepper extract or bioperine on their labels. If your turmeric or curcumin supplement does not contain piperine or black pepper extract, its effectiveness is severely limited. The effective therapeutic dose based on the clinical research ranges from 500 to 1,000 mg of curcumin with piperine taken twice daily, ideally with meals that contain healthy fats because curcumin is fat-soluble and requires fat for absorption. There is one more synergy I want to share with you because it dramatically amplifies curcumin's liver-specific effects. Pair it with omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil at a dose of 2 to 3 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily. A study from the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center found that the combination of curcumin and omega-3s reduced liver fat significantly more than either compound alone, with the synergistic effect producing an additional 18% reduction in hepatic fat content compared to curcumin supplementation alone. The omega-3s provide the fat-soluble vehicle that enhances curcumin's absorption, while simultaneously contributing their own anti-inflammatory and liver-supporting effects. This combination, curcumin with piperine and omega-3 fatty acids, is what I would describe as the foundational liver health protocol for people over 60 based on the weight of current evidence. I want to tell you about one more patient because her story matters. I will call her Dorothy, a 74-year-old retired nurse from Cleveland, Ohio. One of the most medically knowledgeable patients I have ever had, which made her dismissal by multiple physicians all the more frustrating for her. Dorothy had been told for years that her elevated liver enzymes were just something that happens with age, and that her ultrasound showing moderate hepatic steatosis, that is the medical term for fatty liver, was something to watch. She was watching it get worse every year while being offered no meaningful intervention. Dorothy came to me after finding our channel and reading several of the studies I have discussed today. We built a protocol around curcumin with piperine, omega-3 fatty acids and berberine, the combination of numbers 1 and 3 on today's list, timed carefully around her meals and adjusted to account for the blood pressure medication she was already taking. At her 12-week follow-up blood work, her ALT had dropped from 72 to 38. Her A went from 61 to 33. Both values that had been elevated for years were now squarely in the normal range. When she came in for that appointment, she told me she had not realized how much the liver inflammation had been affecting her energy, her mental clarity, and her mood until those symptoms began to lift. She said it was like a fog she had been living in for years had finally started to clear. She was not just healthier on paper. She felt different in a way that changed her daily life. Dorothy's story and Margaret's and Robert's all point to the same truth. It is not too late. Regardless of what your blood work showed last month, regardless of what an ultrasound revealed last year, the liver is one of the most regenerative organs in the human body. It has a capacity to heal that we are only beginning to fully appreciate, and the natural compounds we discussed today support exactly that healing process. I want you to sit with this for a moment. Your independence, your ability to take a walk without exhaustion, to play with your grandchildren without paying for it the next day, to wake up in the morning feeling like your body is working with you rather than against you. Those things are connected to your liver health in ways that conventional medicine has been far too slow to communicate clearly. When your liver is burdened with excess fat, every other system suffers. Your metabolism slows, inflammation increases throughout your body, your cardiovascular risk rises. Your cognitive function can be affected because the liver plays a critical role in producing the proteins your brain needs. When your liver begins to clear that fat, when it starts to function at the level it was designed for, the downstream benefits touch every corner of your health. You did not arrive at your 60s or 70s or 80s by accident. You've been through more than most people half your age will ever face. And you are still here, still curious, still looking for answers. That is not a small thing. The steps we talked about today are not complicated. They are not expensive. And they do not require prescription. What they require is consistency and the knowledge that you are doing something real, something backed by evidence, something that works. The science is there, the compounds are available, and you have every reason to start today. Let me give you a quick summary of what we covered. At number 5, dandelion root for bile stimulation and liver fat transport. Best taken as tea, or 500 mg capsules twice daily with food and a small amount of healthy fat. At number 4, milk thistle standardized to 70% silyrin at 420 mg daily in divided doses with meals paired with natural vitamin E for enhanced effect. At number 3, berberine at 500 mg 3 times daily, taken before meals paired with quercetin-rich foods for improved absorption, with a note to consult your physician if you take blood sugar or blood pressure medications. At number 2, artichoke leaf extract at 1,280 mg daily with meals paired with dandelion root tea for a compounding bile stimulating effect. And at number 1, curcumin with piperine at 500 to 1,000 mg twice daily with food paired with 2 to 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acids daily for a synergistic effect on liver fat reduction that the research consistently shows to be superior to either compound alone. All of the studies and research references I discussed today are listed in the description below this video. I encourage you to read them, share them with your doctor, and have an informed conversation about your liver health. You deserve a physician who takes these questions seriously, and if yours does not, that information in the description gives you the tools to advocate for yourself. If this video helped you today, if it gave you something concrete to bring to your next doctor's appointment or simply changed the way you think about your liver health, please share it with someone you care about, a spouse, a sibling, a friend from church or your neighborhood. Someone who has been struggling quietly with fatigue or elevated liver enzymes, or just a general sense that their body is not running the way it should. This information could genuinely change their trajectory. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because we are committed to bringing you this level of evidence-based, age-specific health information every single week. And now, I want to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments and tell me this. Have you ever tried any of these 5 natural compounds for liver health? And if so, what did you notice? Or if you are hearing about these for the first time today, which one are you most interested in exploring first? I read every comment and I will do my best to respond. Take care of yourselves.